Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville Citizens Night and Agenda Setting Meeting for Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. It is approximately 7 p.m. We'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Griesbach,
Here.
Mr. Hizzy.
Here.
Mr. Poach.
Here.
Mr. Stevenson,
Here.
Mr. Crut,
Here.
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Mr. Williams,
That was the wrong.
Nope, wrong one. Gotta skip Adams again.
Mr. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Biondo,
Here.
Very good. We're off to a good start.
Mr. Graziano,
Here.
Mr. Ratcher,
Here.
Ms. Rock,
Here.
Mr. Hugus,
That's too tight.
Mr. Sedlak,
Here.
Mr. Weldon,
Here.
Mrs. Lang. Here.
Welcome, everyone. This is our Citizens Night and our agenda-setting meeting for the month of December. Tonight is not a voting meeting, but what we'll be doing is, first, we'll be hearing from residents or citizens regarding any municipal matter, and then we'll be discussing items that we will consider for next Tuesday's regular council meeting. So we're going to open the floor for Citizens Night. This is a public comment period for any municipal item, and this will be the only comment period for this evening. We always ask residents to keep their comments to a 5-minute time limit. But for now, I will open the floor for comment on any municipal item. Yep, and just sign in, and then once you're ready, you can just state your name for the record.
Hi, my name's Kathy Brown. I'm here to speak on behalf of my neighbors and the approval of a subdivision for Ashbury Court in Monroeville, which is where I live. And it all started in 2023, winter of 2023. And we stopped having snowplow service after decades of service. And didn't know what was going on, so I didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do. We were all like, what's happening? So we reached out to Bob Stevenson, who was very nice and met with us and listened to us and said, I think you need to talk to the manager of Monroeville. And so we reached out to Alex, and he met with us, and we talked about the situation and rolled along, learning a lot about roads and things I didn't need to know anything about or want to know, but I learned a lot. And we had lots of meetings in the past 16 months, I think, 17 months. And we're approaching our third winter since 2023. And, you know, everybody's been very, very helpful, and it has become much bigger than what I thought it would. We've found out a lot of things and a lot of unknowns. So we're trying to figure it out all together, and just appreciates everyone's help. You guys are the problem solvers in the community, so hopefully we can figure out a solution. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Mayor, is it prudent, I'd like to make a motion that we table this due to the fact that we don't have an ordinance or anything needed
Want to vote and
to
meet?
move this further?
I would suggest that we may get through the meeting a little bit more and maybe get some history on it at first. But you certainly, that you're within your right to, well, you wouldn't be tabling it this evening. If you were to table, you would table next Tuesday, because we're not voting. But why don't we get to that part of the agenda and we can discuss it further? Because I think there's a little bit of a history lesson with the whole thing as well.
Okay.
Your
Mayor.
point's well taken. I'll leave the floor open for Citizens Night for comment on any municipal item. Seeing none, we're going to close the Citizens Night meeting. Moving over to our agenda-setting meeting. Council, we're down to item number 3, the minutes for Citizens Night meeting of November 6, 2025, and the council work session meeting of November 6, 2025. Any questions about or those items or corrections, the minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on. Once again, this is not a voting meeting. All these items we're about to go over now will be considered for approval at next Tuesday's regular council meeting. Council reports of the tax collections. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. List of bills and budget transfers for the month. Questions or comments? Hearing none. Payroll report. Any questions or comments? Council? Hearing none. Going up to number 6, the capital improvement program list of purchase orders. Any questions or comments on those items? Hearing none. Moving on to
There you go.
item number 7, which was just brought up. This is our development applications, once again, to be acted on next Tuesday. This is 25-5-SUB. Residents of Ashbury Court, Brown, Shurman, Zaidel, Kajori, and Ajmal. Subdivision approval. Mr. Graziani, please.
The applicant's requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval pursuant to Monroeville Subdivision Land Development Ordinance number 2525 to subdivide their properties for the sole purpose of dedicating a 33-foot public right-of-way to the Municipality of Monroeville. The properties are involved, there is listed, they're along 432 Bay Hill Drive, tax parcel 855S-004, 434 Ashbury Court, tax parcel 976N-092, 438 Ashbury Court, tax parcel 976-N-100, 440 Ashbury Court, tax parcel 976-N-090, and 442 Ashbury Court, tax parcel 855-S-006. The properties are located in the R3 multifamily and M1 planned industrial zoning districts. And as noted on the sheet here, the Planning Commission recommends approval. It met the requirements of the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance of Monroeville. As noted, I met at the request of Councilman Stevenson with the residents, and what stuck out to me right away was there was not even a paper street when you looked at the road. All of the center lines of the property met in the center of this small road. It's about 283 feet. And kind of to me, it seemed like if they were going to move in the direction of getting it to be a public road, first thing they need to do is, create a new lot. That's usually where the conversation starts. In my 20-some years of working in local government, most residents are like, you mean we have to pay somebody to come survey our land and we have to subdivide our properties and we have to all agree to do that? And it usually ends there, because that's a lot of work, and you can imagine getting 4 or 5 different property owners to agree to do something like that. But they rolled up their sleeves and talked to a number of surveyors and hired Scott, who's been working with them for a number of months, and did a lot of work to get this far. I'm surprised because, again, quite frankly, it usually ends at that point. What they're asking you to do is to approve the subdivision, but more importantly, the goal is to adopt a road that's not to municipal standards. That's what we would need to address in the ordinance, and if the ordinance is passed by the council, you would know that. You would recognize you would be adopting a road that doesn't meet current standards. And recently, we've done that with Scarlet View Court and Orchard Lane, in the last year or so. Each one's very different. They're not all the same, but this road happens to be about 283 feet. It has no stormwater features. It uses sheet flow for the water to drain onto, is it Bay Hill? Is that the road that is out? Yeah, it's there on the address, right? I should read it, yeah, Bay Hill. It's probably in our Paiser score, middling, not the worst of the roads we already have in our system, but certainly nowhere near perfect. There's no precondition or assumption by the residents that we're going to be paving it anytime soon. It will fall into the paving program, and it will be paved or dealt with if it is adopted. It's by some future paving program, and that's not been discussed, and there's no like agreement that you're going to pave it next year, right? We'll make sure, I think the ordinance, if it gets approval to be drafted, addresses concerns like that. And it also addresses concerns related to utility location. Right now, the subdivision proposes a hammerhead, which is a road modification to allow for vehicles to turn around. When it was plowed previously, or when garbage vehicles service the road currently, they go in and back out, or they back in and pull out. So you'd like to have a turnaround. Ideally, the PennDOT standards are a cul-de-sac, but right now Bay Hill doesn't have a cul-de-sac on it. A number of roads, I think, around the community are less than ideal when it comes to turnarounds, and thanks to our great drivers and our professional public works crew, they're able to manage under those circumstances. But there may be a future council who would like to install a hammerhead. However, there's utilities that are in the way, and we've discussed this with the residents, that those utilities will have to be handled at some point in the future. We've suggested that the language be included, that would be borne by the expense of the property owners. Now, the likelihood of, in a future paving program, Lord willing, my career or the career of the staff that's here this evening, being proposed for us to do that is pretty small. But we like to think in 50 and 100-year increments. There may be a council, and for whatever reason, the utility companies may be replacing the underground wires that are there, and some of the other utility boxes are there, because we don't know what 50 or 100 years Monroeville looks like, and we don't want to tie their hands with decisions we make now. So I'm recommending that the ordinance include the provisions as we've discussed, but I don't think anytime in the future we're going to be building the hammerhead. We think, though it's not ideal, that we can service the road by plowing it, as had been done in the past, by pushing the snow one side or the other and backing back out. And that will suffice for the foreseeable future. That probably extends beyond any of our careers, even on council or staff members. But in the future, it'd be nice if a council wants to do it, or if a staff is able to do it, to have the space to build the hammerhead. And they would have already, through this subdivision, granted approval for that to be built. And whoever the homeowners are back up in the future, they'll, when they're purchasing the home, will know these are conditions of their new title or whatever, that may be a responsible burden of theirs. Are there questions of council or Paul? Mr. Wilden himself has spent a half dozen meetings, at least with the residents and with the surveyor. Jamie Story has met with them. We've met on site. Paul Hugus has been with them a number of times as well. Am I missing anything, gentlemen?
So the future ordinance that we're speaking of hypothetically would be to adopt the road, is that correct?
Yeah, so what I think Mr. Stevenson is correct in doing, if next week you guys could be so inclined to do two things. One, table the subdivision to a future meeting, ideally January, and then direct the solicitor and the manager to work with staff to draw up a road adoption order. So that January you do it both. Because really, to be honest with you, if you're not interested in the road, then the subdivision kind of becomes not necessary, or probably not the way to go. And it wouldn't be fair to these residents to approve a subdivision that needs to be recorded only to say, hey, we're really not serious in taking that road. So that could be your pleasure, but that's sort of the ideal, that both of them would happen in January.
And then I guess, you said that the utilities are all underground?
Correct. These are underground utilities. The challenge particularly is there's a transformer on the one northeast corner of at the end. And it would be within the Hammerhead area as it is now. As you can imagine, even getting Duquesne Light to give you a price is hard. And the price that they were able to get was extraordinarily high to move that transformer. And we're not interested in the municipality moving utilities right now.
And Alex, the hammerhead would be at our discretion, not at the residents.
It's in the plan, drawn, but correct. It would be, if we so choose to do it at some point in the future, we would have enough space within this new subdivision minimally to be able to do it. Is that fair to say, Paul?
Correct. But the road has been functioning in its current state historically with plowing, historically maybe with ambulance, fire calls. functions appropriately.
It functions. The only handicap is that when you get to the end, the only way to get turned around is through somebody's driveway, which creates a problem, especially with bigger vehicles.
Garbage trucks and snowplows.
Because garbage is already collected on the street.
Yes,
Does the garbage truck back up? Or
yes.
does it back into the road
Yeah,
and then
backs
drives
up
out?
the street, correct.
Okay. So maybe to whoever asked about the hammerhead, I mean, the improvements could be made to the road without a hammerhead. It could be resurfaced long-term.
Correct.
Okay.
No, we're looking for a 33-foot right-of-way?
That's the minimum that, under the borough code, and we're a home rule municipality, that liquid fuels could recognize a segment of road. And because we once were a borough, we have a little bit more lenient rules as it relates to what can be accepted. Boroughs can have alleys accepted within the liquid fuels map, which can even have less right-of-way. There's certain things. I'm not saying this would qualify for liquid fuels, but typically in the townships across the Commonwealth, that's the minimum right-of-way width, is 33 feet.
What's the right-of-way now?
0.
What's the?
No, what's the,
Curb to curb, it's about 24 feet,
I think it's 22.
22 curb to
22
It's a
curb.
little, it's a little less than what's required. Our standard is 24 from curb to curb. I think this is 22.
that's a cartway.
Cartway, correct.
What's the right-of-way, though?
There is no.
There is no right-of-way.
That's
Current
the-
the
that's-
subdivision.
That's the issue. There is no right of way.
Yeah,
Currently, one
that's,
does not exist.
yeah, this is a unique, really unique situation. And a lot of people up here already know this, and people in the audience already know this. So a typical road in front of your house, the municipality or the state or the county owns that road, you don't own it, and then there's a right-of-way in your yard, you know, the area that you typically mow, there's still another, you know, depending, maybe 10, 15 feet or less where utilities can go in, that's the right-of-way. In this situation, it's as if your next-door neighbor, where your property lines meet, it's as if they put a road on that property line. So it's really unique, there's no right-of-way, just the road landed over top of the, where all the properties met. So then all the different homeowners,
But couldn't a
Basically-
right-of-way be created in this subdivision,
That's what we're,
that's,
That's
yeah,
what-
that's
that's
exactly
what
what
this
we're
is
trying to do.
trying,
which would allow for the fuels for us to
yeah,
qualify?
we're creating where there's currently 5 lots, there'll be 6 lots. And the 6th lot will be the road right-of-way.
So would the new right-of-way put us in compliance to get the liquid fuels?
That's,
And if not,
possibly, we could argue, and I'm gonna try to, but I'm not saying it will, just like Orchard Lane won't. Scarlet View is sort of a challenge as well. This one would likely be a challenge as well.
But as far as liquid fuels, I mean, how much would a road of that length?
no, but that's something
Capture.
we discussed when we were
Yeah.
considering whether to adopt a road, right?
Well, that and also bring it up to the standards of what we have. And I guess they go hand in hand, standards and that it qualifies for liquid
Problem with
fuels.
liquid fuels, it's gonna add, because the termination point is a driveway. That's the issue.
Do we have, and I don't mean to spring this on you, there are some roads that are ours that are not liquid fuels eligible.
No, most of our roads are all
Okay.
eligible, yes.
And is that by virtue of some being grandfathered in, or just they would meet the standard?
They met the standard.
Okay.
But if a road didn't meet that standard of liquid fuels or didn't rise to that, what's
You just don't get liquid fuels.
for that however
that's-
length?
Well, they call it a segment. For that specific segment, you would not get liquid fuels money.
So then what's Monroeville's interest in adopting the road?
That's a great question. Residents who had once received services purchased homes with the idea that that was a public road, and without their, you know, I know it's buyer beware, and buyer owns responsibility, even if it's ignorance. They really never realized there wasn't a public road. They were getting services, and so here they get into a point where they're not getting those services, and they were informed it's private.
I think property values as well. I mean, if the road in front of the property is not well-maintained, that could diminish the property value of the home. The resale value, we get real estate, the real estate transfer tax I think there are some interests that we would have in maintaining.
But, and to be honest, Bill, I've said it to them and I've said it to others, we are in the road owning, maintaining business. It's just seconds for us to pull in, pull out. The paving is so small, the segment of responsibility compared to the stature of all of our roads. A group of residents here, a group of residents there, it's real hit or miss. Some of the private lanes in the municipality are some of the poorest, maintained spots.
Keep in mind,
I would think that when they bought their properties, that would be a recorded easement. And that was my question instead of the right-of-way. What's the width of the easement that they have?
Currently, it's a 25-foot private.
You gotta
Ask you to come up.
come up to,
and while he's signing in, it's necessary to know that liquid fuels for 200 yards is very minuscule.
That's sort of the point I was trying to
Very
make.
minuscule.
Exactly. Thank you.
Is it even 200 yards?
Because right now, it's a private road
I understand that.
divided into
Not even 100 yards.
Yeah.
by 5 different properties.
There has to be legal easement for those houses.
So you just state your name for the record.
My name is Scott Pilson. I'm the owner of Pilson Surveying. We prepared the plan.
Thanks, Scott.
The original recorded plan dedicated a 25-foot private access and utility easement for those properties to share. That was where the center line, as Alex was explaining, the property lines actually meet at the center line of that right-of-way.
Yes.
Right, their whole thing was they've been maintained for decades, and all of a sudden it stopped. And that's what they were trying to do, is just to continue on with the maintenance that they were getting.
Was that road ever resurfaced or by the municipality?
Not by the municipality,
Okay.
Has
But
it been
plowed
serviced?
and
yes.
things of that nature?
It's been patched.
It's been patched by the municipality.
Some patching maybe, but not,
It was patched but
It was
not
originally
resurfaced.
installed by
Okay.
the municipality. No? The developer.
so the developer installed the road is what they were saying.
It's the age of the road.
How long you been there?
34 years, I'd say.
34 years, the age?
Because the developer's no longer existing, correct?
Correct.
And so, which they're the boogeyman in this, not any of us, not any of you, to do this. I mean, we've run into something like this, even like with Scarlet View was almost going to run out.
When Abor developed the Glenwood plan, the entire plan was dedicated as private. It would remain private until the early 90s when he petitioned the municipality to accept the roads within Glenwood. Only certain roads were accepted because of the conditions and/or dimensions of them. This particular one did not, as well as some others in Glenwood still are private.
And it's a side note, don't we also, from MS4, take care of their water retention plan, was in that as well?
Well, in the Glenwood area that we've accepted.
Accepted,
yes.
right.
Paul, and is it true that the parts where there are similar private, they have homeowners associations because of the condominium arrangements that are there, and they're a little bit more whole? In other words, they have private people who plow and take care of those.
They do, they're part of the homeowners, but they also, because of the roads did not meet municipal standards, they were not accepted.
Because the plan has some single-family and multifamily.
Correct. And the area we're talking about now are all single-family. The roads that were not accepted in Glenwood are all townhomes, condos.
If a development is built now, today, do the roads, even if they're private, are they built to municipal standards?
Yes, because of that reason.
But at the time, 34 years ago, that wasn't
Correct.
enforced or
If
wasn't?
there's any roads built in Monroeville now, they have to meet municipal standards, whether they're going to be private or public. Because of that reason, we just, history repeats itself.
Sure, no, it's,
Now, these 5 names on this petition, they're all in agreement that they're all going to have to give up probably 4 feet of their property?
Yes,
Okay, and how about the big house in the end? Is he involved?
yes. And he's in agreement also.
Which address is his? 432? What is it?
438.
438.
That's the
Okay.
way we ran the fire alarm all the time. We had to back the apparatus out, all this up there.
He also dedicated some road, or some area of his lot for the road frontage for the hammerhead.
Is he willing to move his gate?
That's something that we've discussed. It was a last resort type of thing. But yes, if he needs to move his gate, we will. We designed it so that, we actually submitted a design plan to the municipality showing that a hammerhead could be installed. We tried to do it without messing with the gate. If for some reason that had to happen because of utilities or something like that, I'm sure the homeowner would be more, amenable to moving that gate as opposed to trying to move utilities.
How wide does a hammerhead have to be? The cartway of a hammerhead, how wide does it have to be?
Municipal standards don't allow hammerheads.
They don't allow it.
No, we only allow cul-de-sacs.
Okay.
The Glenwood plan has hammerheads because that would Aidmore put in whenever he developed the plan. But in today's world, if somebody wanted to install a hammerhead, it would not be allowed.
Would not be allowed.
The hammerhead that was designed matches the standard. There are a couple different sizes in this plan. It matches the largest size.
It's going to be difficult to make it perfect or up to our standards, but it sounds like what we're trying to do is correct a situation
Right.
to the best of everyone's ability, is what it sounds like.
Well, my point was, if it was a hammerhead, boy, it would encroach a lot of property on the two end houses next to the gate.
Well, it wouldn't encroach on them. They've dedicated that. With the subdivision, they've dedicated that road. They would be dedicating that portion of their property to the town, or to the municipality.
It's already dedicated?
That's
Well,
what
part
we're,
of the subdivision.
In that subdivision.
All right.
And
Well, I
they've
mean-
all agreed to that.
I mean, Alex, to your suggestion, maybe this is what maybe Mr. Stevenson was suggesting earlier as well. I mean, obviously, we're not voting this evening, but whatever, said, like legally, there's two separate things we want to do to get to the end goal. If the end goal is to adopt the road and correct it, two things have to happen. We got to do the subdivision, and we have to establish an ordinance to adopt the road. So, to your point, I think, yeah, maybe it is best to try to do them both at the same time. Because why would you do one and then not want to do the other and vote the other one down? You're going to vote them both together or vote them both down, whatever council would choose to do in January, probably the soonest that would happen, or maybe even February, with advertising requirements,
It would be February.
probably. But, I mean, council, any other questions at this point, as far as this goes? We can certainly discuss it further at next week's meeting, and, you could choose to act on it in any way next Tuesday, but in my opinion, as the manager's recommendation would be to table to try to get both those things happening at the same time, and then if that does happen, then you can ask all dig into the questions as far as the hammerhead, how that ordinance looks, what kind of things with the utilities, and make decisions on what everybody wants to do at that point.
And I certainly can adjust the agenda for next Tuesday to just simply add to the agenda a motion to direct the solicitor and the manager to work with the engineer to draft an ordinance, draft an ordinance, for January.
But that would require this to be tabled, is that correct?
You could do both, yeah, but what I'm just saying is now that we've talked a good deal about it, you guys are aware that maybe on the agenda next week, you're tabling the one and then just saying, hey, go forward and draft that adoption ordinance so that they can be both adopted simultaneously.
Right, well, it doesn't make sense to have this on there without the proper things that need to be done first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're putting the cart before the horse.
And as far as the clock goes with the SALDO, we don't have any kind of issue. In other words, if we table next week, you still kind of keep the clock running because you have an amenable developer who wants to.
Yeah, as long as we get a letter from them saying they agree with it being tabled for a month, it resets the clock, and we don't run into any time constraints.
Thank you.
Sir, do you have something to add?
Yes, my name is Khalid Ajmal, and I live like far end, 438 Ashbury Court. I just have some few question as a citizen.
Certainly.
Just wanted to talk about it. The first thing is when I bought the house in 2001, I've been there from 4 years. It was never mentioned that this road was private. We assumed that the road is a public road and the municipality was taking care of it. That's the one thing when I bought it. It was not mentioned in anywhere in the deed that this road was private. Secondly, this is my question to myself, why the borough was servicing like 30-some years and suddenly they stopped. So this is the one question I was asking myself as a citizen, that why it stopped. It shouldn't be stopped if this service was going on for 30-some years, why it stopped. Second, we were discussing the size of the road, like 20, I'm not familiar with the dimensions, but just find out like when the road was built, it was like 22, it should be 24, something like that. So my question was, when it was built, it was the responsibility of the borough. They should be taking care that the road size should be according to the
developer.
the law. So the developer must be approved by the municipality. So this is something as a resident wanted to ask myself. I was talking to myself, just want to talk to you. Really appreciate to listen to me. Then this cul-de-sac, why it wasn't built. So we have to pay the price what the, developer has done that to our road. Now, we have the road, which we never knew it was private, and now it has the potholes. Beautiful houses are on the side, and we experience the potholes. And we are really scared when winter comes. We don't know how we can handle that. So the worst scare, which as a resident, I feel like, if God forbid the water line broke up, what are we gonna do? Are we calling borough? Who's gonna take care of it? We don't know. Are we going to take care of it? We don't know. So we have no plans, God forbid something happened. My mother-in-law passed away, and many times we have to call the ambulance, and we have to call, sometimes fire truck if God forbid something happened. So we don't know exactly if the road gonna go bad, where do we stand? So these are all small reservations. I just wanted to, talk about it. If Orchard Lane was approved, why this has not been approved? And we all 5 residents are willing to give away our land. We wanted to cooperate. This is not for something we probably gonna live maybe 10, 20 years, but this is going to be the future of the road, a future of this area. This is what I like to talk about. So we as a 5, 6, resident of the road, we are willing to cooperate with municipality, anything they want. Kathy tried to get the estimate from, the electric company. We are willing to share, but we really want this the road should be secured, it should be safe, it should be plowed, during the winter, and plus, God forbid, something happen, the ambulance and the fire trucks can move. This is my consideration. I appreciate if you consider this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, good questions. I mean, there are things that, we're going back 34 years, and was it the issue with the developer? Was it issue with previous staff? Was it issue with maybe the way that things were done before, and there wasn't a lot of foresight put into it? But I think we've corrected it now as far as how we do new development. As far as being maintained for all these years, it probably never should have been. It was a private road. There's a lot of private roads in the community or private driveways that people maintain on their own. But that's not kind of what I think we're just trying to turn the page on those things and trying to correct maybe a situation that wasn't done properly and trying to fix it. And I would agree, yeah, the residents are definitely willing to cooperate. They're giving up land. They're spending money to make it happen. And I think we got to get this all put in front of council the appropriate way between this and the ordinance for January, or if not February, depending on how the legal timelines are. Any other questions, council, about this matter? Very good. Moving over to our next item, we have motions to be considered for this month. Mr. Graziani, please.
Yeah, one is a motion to authorize to advertise an ordinance appointing myself as municipal manager, or reappointing myself as municipal manager at the January 5th reorganization meeting, and with that, an employment contract that establishes the term of employment for 26-27, salary benefits pursuant to Section 501 of the Home Rule Charter. The next is a motion authorized to advertise an ordinance for the personal benefit agreement for the police commander. As you know, we've discussed, Lieutenant Safer is going to be promoted. He has one step to go through with the civil service on December 11th, where they'll do an oral exam, and we're looking at an agreement with him. I think we're looking at January 5th as a start date. We got a lot going on with the holidays and all of that, but there's a number of things we need to achieve within the police department. But the first is promoting the lieutenant to the commander position. By doing so, he would be out of the bargaining unit where he currently is as a lieutenant. And therefore, we need to have an agreement with him, like the chief has, Chief Cole, that gives him some protections and so forth in making this move.
Council, any questions about either of the motions for the month of December? Moving to our resolutions.
So, you want to go ahead with these, or do you want to? This group here, we're going to be looking to have probably council table again.
Yeah,
The
there's
next group related to the blight resolutions.
10 through 16.
10 through 16.
And Mr. Yugas can elaborate on this if he wants, but one of the things that was done in the interim between the last meeting and this meeting was we got the consulting engineers out to take a look at the properties and determine what properties really are dilapidated to the point where they should be torn down, and what properties are perhaps out of proper maintenance, but are really code enforcement issues as opposed to demolition issues. So we're waiting to get that report from the engineer, and I think we're probably gonna have it pretty soon here, right?
I'm hoping to. Actually, we're waiting for reports on both sides, from the landowners themselves and our engineer.
Okay. So I think the recommendation's gonna be just to table all of that until such time as we have all the information in front of us.
Very good. So we're moving down to, well, actually, items 17 through 21 all revolve around boards, commissions, and authority appointments, which we're not doing this evening, but we will consider for Tuesday at our regular council meeting. Ordinances,
Excuse me, Nick.
sure,
Sorry.
no problem.
Am I missing the nominees pieces? Don't we have the blue sheets normally in the agenda?
Pink sheet,
You have it, or I just don't have it?
you have it.
They're resolutions.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, they're in the pink
Okay.
area. And you see the vacancies, or is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, usually we see the list of
Yeah, this page here.
vacancy opening.
just looking at the number, thank you.
number is that?
Pink.
In the pink, and
So it's in pink because it's with the resolutions and,
got it. Thank you.
Very good. Ordinances for the month of December 22 through 26. Mr. Graziani, through most of these revolve around the budget. Let's see, actually, they all do, the annual budget, 2026 budget. And Mr. Graziani, you had a short presentation that you wanted to discuss these items?
yeah, it'll be very short if you don't mind. I'm going to go to the podium. Jared, if you can switch to the screens, and I printed out a black and white version of you so you all could look at it and see the details. First of all, let's see if they come up. This budget was built on mission, vision, values, and desired outcomes. It's the why question. Why does local government exist? Why do we exist? We exist to protect people and property. That's our mission. I'm very proud of what you've seen. Quite honestly, I didn't think we would get this far till the third year of my term here. I inherited a budget that, in my opinion, needed to be improved in a number of ways, not the least of which is to make it more readable and understandable, more informative. That includes pretty pictures, but it's just not about pretty pictures. It's about moving towards data-driven decisions. I mentioned the why. Why do we exist? Why local government? To protect people and property. The second question is, are we any good at it? And that comes along with, how do we know? Well, it begins by measuring. And this budget narrative, and I'm so proud of MK and Josie and Tina and the staff, I can't say enough about how much work they put into this. You guys sat through 6 hours or more of hearings over the last couple weeks, but the staff put a lot of time to create a budget that begins us down a direction to measure what we do, to know what we're any good at. There's a couple slides in here that I'll refer to that. What do other communities invest in police, in public works? What other communities, how diversified is their portfolio of revenue? Are they more reliant on this tax or that tax? And what does success look like? In the private sector, it's real simple. They either like your McRib sandwich or they don't. And you know that by sales. We don't get the feedback like that in the public sector. And the question we've got to ask ourselves, are we any good and how would we know? We've got to begin by measuring. So that's just a quick overview. I have a couple slides that I just want to help you to rethink the budget a little differently. One is revenue. If you look at our revenue, we have 113 lines of individual revenue sources. But basically, 82% of those fall under the category or so of taxes. Real estate, earned income, business or mercantile taxes are the majority of our revenue by far. If you look at that, and it's the black and white sheet, it looks similar to this. Yeah, that's the right one. You can see some of the ones that are large. For example, the state aid goes right to the pensions. So like almost the next largest tax revenue goes to pensions, 3%. Regional asset district taxes, the regional taxes we get from the regional asset district, that's only about 3%. But if you look at so many other things we discuss, fee for services, applications, Monroeville Finance Authority, sale of assets, recycling grants, on and on it goes. These are so small. Some of them are less than 1% of the entire budget, but yet, we're trying our best to categorize this. But the emphasis is, it's the backs of the taxpayers that pay. And the beauty of what you have all adopted here is that we are blessed to have the mercantile and business taxes, which are unfortunately borne by the businesses of this community. However, those businesses are supported by the region. Murraysville, Penn Township, Wilkinsburg, Wilkins Township, Penn Hills, Plum, Pitcairn, all of those people who shop and visit our community help pay our taxes to provide them services. And not all communities have the business privilege and mercantile taxes, and they generate a great deal of revenue. In fact, the mercantile and business taxes alone almost account for 30% of our taxes when you include the delinquents and the associated licenses. But I give you the pie chart to show you kind of how it really looks. You have 23 categories, and you have one category. Local taxes and the other 23 are the little slices. So again, from 22 to 23 and 24, 82% of our revenue came from the real estate, earned income, local service tax, mercantile business, and business privilege taxes, those licenses and fees. So a lot has come from there. The proposed budget is not too dissimilar. About 85% of the projected revenue is coming from those. The big difference is we raised taxes last year, putting a greater burden on the real estate. So it went from about 82% to about 85% of our revenue are those taxes, real estate, earned income, business privilege, and mercantile, and they're very important. The other thing we did in this little presentation is to get you to think about mission of the budget. This pie chart, which is the service responsibility area, is meant to show you that we have 850 individual lines of expenses. That's the book. I've narrowed it down into categories. Police, public safety, and communications represented about 30% of our expenditures. Public works and community development, all of UGAS's sphere of responsibilities, including animal control, represents about 23% of those expenditures from 22 to 24. Ambulance and fire represent 2.1% of our budget. So if you add all those together, about 55% of our budget is public safety services. Now, administration, the administrative support services, is about 13%. That includes Jared in communication, Tina in IT, Josie and Joe and myself, all of those support services, admin, finance, HR, insurances, communication, IT, all of those that go together for administrative support. You can see the amount of the budget that goes to transfers, debt service about 3%. And amenity services are the library, senior center, and parks and recreation. We call those amenity services. So when you see the pie chart, it's about trying to represent the budget in ways that we can compare ourselves to our neighbors. What do other communities spend for amenity services, parks, libraries, and senior centers? Well, do you know? Do I know? I don't think any of us do. That's not good decision-making. We want to inform our discretion by being able to benchmark against like communities to see if we're achieving our goals of efficiency and outcomes that we want to do in meeting our mission. So again, about 55% from 22 to 24 spent in the public safety services. Going into this year, the next pie chart, the 26 proposed, you see about 26% of the expenses are going to go to public works and community development. And then Chief Cole would be public safety and communications, about 36%. The ambulance EMS, about 2.5%. Amenity services, park, recreation, senior center, and library, about 7%. Administrative support, 15.7%. The transfers to capital, primarily an investment in paving program and the capital program, about 9%. Debt service, 3.5%. So next year, when we did the 27%, there's a good possibility we have no debt service in that, so that pie chart goes away. 64% of the 2026 budget is proposed for public safety services. The reason we're doing this is from going forward, we're gonna look at all of our years in the past, and we're gonna look at other communities to see what their level of investment is. If we say our mission is to protect people and property, our checkbook should reflect that, and that's what we're trying to do. So just quickly, the final budget that you have before you is about 1.3% than the one adopted last year. No new taxes. The real estate remains at 5.5 mills. All other tax rates are the same. There's a little bit adjustments to some of the fees and charges that we have, and as you can see, de minimis amounts are collected from those, but we need to adjust them from time to time for them to be appropriate. And then again, when we look at this budget that you'll be looking at next week in the various books, it includes a library budget through ACLA, which we really don't have control over. That's the county library system. Liquid fuels, which the state tells us how much we get and which roads are eligible and how we can spend the money, that budget's in there. The MS4 program, which is about a $3.5 million, $3.3 million program of revenue and expenditures, and its capital plan, and then a separate capital improvement program budget. Those are the budgets that are in your books that we've talked about a number of times through a number of meetings. Moving forward, we'll be able to do it with confidence because we're going to be financially stable. We have a lot of hurdles to overcome in the next 5 years. With the anticipated redevelopment of the Monroeville Mall, it's likely that the entire facility for 2 or so many years will be dormant as it is demolished and rebuilt. That means we will lose mercantile and business taxes, and it could put a damper on the corridor surrounding it, like 22. I would imagine some people experienced some lower sales last year when 22 was being rebuilt. Tends to happen that way. People avoid your community when they feel like there's a lot of construction going on. We're also very concerned about some of our largest taxpayers, their survivability over the next few years. But Lord willing, in 2030 will be the first full year of the new redeveloped Monroeville Mall, and the gross receipts from the real estate and the businesses that will be flourishing there will be different than what we have to look at. So I see the next few years of being years of flat revenue, maybe diminishing revenue. And we're gonna have to watch our P's and Q's. And then 2030, hopefully, we'll be in a better position. We are going to make strategic investments. The capital improvement program, first time in over 10 years, we've adopted one. You guys are getting used to seeing every month you're getting capital requests. We're trying to show you how those are being processed and in sustained growth. You know, we're positioned with the 911, with the operations that we have here to expand if we need to respond to public safety needs. And Lord willing, we don't have a lot of demand for that. In 2030, we'll be able to address some of those a little better. And with that, I just want to thank you. Lastly, I can't say thank you enough for you all to put up with this over the last few weeks of changing binders. I am so proud of my staff. I can't say enough about how, what I thought we wouldn't be able to do till next year, they basically took the elephant down this year, and one bite at a time eating it, and I can't believe it, because the hours they put in to transform the budget narrative from what it was last year to what you're seeing is just the beginning. It's necessary to go to excellence. We won't be able to know what excellence is or to measure whether we're meeting standards of excellence if we don't transition the budget to be much more graphically oriented and much more measuring of key components. And the way I formatted it today for you, by showing you areas, it's quite confusing, to be honest with you. I don't know how many budget pages you're responsible for, but it's like 12?
A whole bunch.
A bunch, and a lot of staff, and same with Doug. You know, Doug, Chief Cole will have detectives and special units and communications and patrol officers and admin. It's hard to keep track of, what are we spending on police services? Like, what's the bottom line? We're gonna get you to the bottom line through this kind of effort. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for the staff, for Dr. Lang, for all the work that she's done to get us here. I'm very proud of all of her efforts. Any questions?
Question,
Go ahead, Bob.
Mr. Williams?
that $41 million budget, do we have to take anything out of the rainy day fund to balance that?
So,
Yeah.
we've talked about this before, and shows you, MK, you could help them on the budget book, but a few pages into your budget book, you'll see kind of that bottom line of what we're suggesting to be taken out of your balance to
Unbalanced.
balance the budget, your fund balance.
Not a lot, but.
Looking in past budgets, seems like every year for the last 15, that's exactly how you've adopted the budget. But for every year of the last 15, and we think it could be this year included, that is the 2025 we're sitting in, this budget was passed with a fund balance reduction. It netted out that it wasn't necessary.
How much?
This year, I think it's 500,000?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I'm not sure what page it is on your.
Yeah, I don't
Well, the
know.
public needs to know that next year we'll be out of debt, and that's gonna free up $1.5 million possibly.
1.9.
Right.
So
Well, not-
the convention center
It
is
would cut down that a little.
paying for itself, and in January, we'll see how much we're gonna receive out of the proceeds, so.
So on that hard-to-read sheet that shows you your income, you'll find a line item there that includes rents for like the tower at the Public Safety Center, or rents that we get from the DA to be in our building here, and so forth, even Hawkeye Park. There's a house that we rent there. All of those are lumped together, and I think they're 0.48% of the income. So just to realize, your taxpayers are really carrying the freight, right? 85%. Those things we want to get and we want to capture. If we can figure out ways to be more creative in recovering costs or charging fees for services, we need to do it. But I never want to overstate how this works. They're small in comparison to what the taxpayers bear. Now, we want to be creative and less than that, but it's easier said than done.
Alex, I don't want to paint you into a corner, but I think back to when we were trying to plan the budget during COVID. And again, we were concerned, like, oh boy, we were going to have some problems. We did, a little, but it wasn't as bad as we thought. So from the first page, when you talk about the revenue that's in here versus the budget, the expense side of it, ballpark, what do we generally look at on an annual basis, is your observation now? And then, because then if we have an idea where we're going, and then if we have other folks that are no longer generating revenue for a while, we'll kind of know when we're taking a hit or a problem.
So-
is in place. Generally speaking, what do we talk about with our revenue? Total.
As far as our revenue growth
Yeah,
and
revenue,
projections?
when we look at that page, when we talk about revenue, just so that everybody understands, what is it that comes in? 85% of it is from taxpayers. Bundle it all together.
Yeah, well, as noted, about $500,000 comes from your reserve balances. Our reserve balances are roughly, 40-some% of our general fund obligation, annual obligation. When we did the capital improvement program, Josie and I and Dr. Lang, we modeled a 5-year revenue projection. And we looked at a number of sources, including the Federal Reserve System and their projections of what they thought will happen within the greater economy. And then we dialed those back, assuming that we will have revenue losses from business and mercantile in the redevelopment of Monroeville Mall. So we were using within the CIP a very modest revenue growth projection.
So I'm asking the question wrong. What are you projecting for annual revenue for the next couple, Yeah, it's on this.
41 million. I mean, you have 41 this year, less
Budget.
500,000.
I don't think, when you talk about the revenue on this side, I'm not sure we're making it, it's clear to everybody. This is about what comes in, and then we
Yeah,
all
the
realize what
balance,
goes
the
out.
budget is balanced because we're using 500,000 of our reserves.
Right.
To match the expenditure amount.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the total amount that's listed.
And the
on
reserves
agenda.
will come from money that we don't spend from year to year,
Yeah,
among other
so-
things. Because not every penny gets spent.
Yeah, so Josie's done some remarkable job moving monies into Pliget. Pliget is a longer-term, better return investment area for us. We don't need access to all of the money in cash, like, right away. So she has begun to move a number of accounts over there, much to our bank's chagrin. But our bank can't offer, in fact, not only does our bank can't offer the rates, but they've begun to charge us fees that
Right.
we've not seen. So we're moving and consolidating
Right.
accounts so that we get better interest return on that. Most local governments, again, the Government Finance Officers of America, GFOA, recommends 15 to 17% of your annual expenditures to be held in reserves. As I mentioned, we're about 40%, which is wonderful. That enabled you to buy the convention center. That enabled you to do what you're able to do with the CIP. Now, your fund balance policy here is 10%. That wasn't something I made up, that's something you all agreed to a long time ago. I recommend we never get below 20%. And that was clear when we adopted the CIP. And you can record me saying it. We're not going below 20%. So if it gets to the point where we have to one day dip so far into the reserves to balance a budget, then that gets us below 20%. And what I'm thinking, is when I say 20%, I'm projecting the end of next December. Like I'm always projecting the year out. I don't want to be below 20%. I don't want to make this year's budget go off the back of getting below 20%. We'll have to make cuts
Alex-
or change revenue.
Alex, a question. You said we're having some issues with the bank we're dealing with. Have you considered doing RFP with other banks to look into something else rather than being hostage to whoever we're with now?
Not soon enough, but yes. Yeah, we have not done it. We've talked to a few. Banks are really wanting to talk to you about their services.
Sure.
And the beauty of Monroeville is we have, a handful of them have very good roots in our community, number of branches,
Right.
and do a lot with the chamber. So it's on our to-do list, is to say the least, right, Chesney?
Right. It's not something that finance director looks forward to doing because can be complicated. But I will say, in addition to the fees, we are now also getting interest earned on some of the accounts, most of the accounts that we have. So, it's not all bad.
But we
It
we
wouldn't
do
hurt
need
to-
to, it's a good goal for us, I think, in
It is.
2026 to have a request for proposals, as you say, to other banks, to at least begin with submitting a letter of interest and in working from that to get to a good proposal.
You can use thumb screws if you need to, Josie. Just keep cranking it down until they get what you want. Go right ahead. Feel free to proceed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another question.
We can waterboard them, yeah. I'm fine with that. The banks always
Sometimes
get paid.
I look through this stuff and a red flag hits me. And it just puzzles me. And I talked to solicitor just before the meeting on Pennsylvania foreign fire insurance tax, which just brought up a red flag. And I'd like him to explain that to the public if he would.
There's a tax imposed by Pennsylvania on all property and casualty policies that are written from companies that aren't headquartered in Pennsylvania. And then that money is divided up among the various municipalities. If you have a paid fire department, that goes to support their, partial support to their pension system. In our organization here, where we have a volunteer fire department, that goes to buy certain things that's mandated by law. It's safety equipment, things of that nature. So that's a pass-through really from the municipality to the fire companies.
Yeah, that, and on the same page, if you look above it, the general municipal state aid have to be by the penny shown to come in and shown to go out.
Yeah, and trust me, we've been audited.
Oh, yeah, that's, I was gonna say, and the problem is, Bob, that number's been decreasing over the years.
Yeah.
If
Well,
that-
when I see foreign, I don't know, we paying, foreign means out of the country.
Yeah, no.
But this foreign
Just
means
means out of state.
Monroe.
Out of,
Out of
yeah,
state.
that's the state note too, and it's great in there, and I believe, if you recall, when, and Chief Belts is here too, but you recall when the chiefs came to us this year, that's probably gonna start to be an impact on the operating budget for some of those things that foreign fire relief money used to pay for, too. And it's getting less and less and less. Protective equipment, safety equipment, communications, training, are the top, and it's very restricted and audited every other year that by the state through the fire relief. In our case, the money's passed through municipality to the Fire Department Relief Association.
Just the word foreign bothered me, not understanding that.
The legislature
I wish
has
we'd
has
get
a
more money
knack
for it.
to pass rules and laws that confuse all of us. And
Yes.
even in our zoning terms, we'll call something a special exception. And it sounds to the public that, what's special about this exception? It sounds like somebody's getting a favor, but it's not, right? But we tend to use terms that are very hard for the public to follow. And then we'd like to give them acronyms. If they weren't confused enough, we stick words together and create new words that nobody understands. So we want to not do that, but unfortunately, we do call it the foreign fire. They're not written from other countries.
And if I could just bring up, I mean, I have just a budget comment that was one of the hearings I had brought up, and I just want to get council's opinion about the, like, retiree benefits and that going into individual
Yeah,
departments.
so,
We had a lovely chat
So-
about that last week.
So, and maybe you had one at the second hearing that I
We did.
wasn't at.
We
Because I know
did.
even just, I remember Josie's, you had just as many retiree health insurance money going out of your budget than
Correct.
current.
Correct.
And I understand what staff was thinking about putting that actually in the addition to departments. I believe the police department had like $1.4 million in retiree health benefits. I still personally think maybe that should be a separate line item where, okay, these are all our retiree employees, whether they worked in finance or police or the library or wherever, and they could be itemized there as far as what the individual departments, but it could inflate Josie's budget or Mr. Hughes's
so
budget,
we
you
had
know.
we did have a conversation
budget.
about it last week, and my view is that where the costs are coming from, what made them happen, you know? And if it happens that your department had those staff legacies, that should be tagged to you. And here's why. If you make a donation to a nonprofit, you want a nonprofit who has very little admin and has a lot of in the programming. And the way nonprofits show that is make sure that every cost that is associated with program delivery finds its way to that. So back to this slide here. This is a slide, if you want to turn to the 2026 proposed budget, this is slide 10 in your packet of 14. If I move those out, I either have to come up with a new slice of pie that says retiree benefits, which I could.
That sounds like a
or-
simple solution, though.
But it
Right
doesn't,
there.
but it masks the true cost of what we have in
True
this
cost of
system
retirees, though.
that came out of the benefit of having police, the benefit of having public works. Yeah, so if your department is driving that expense because that's your legacy cost of doing that service, the public should know. It's called transparency.
Well, you're still, we're still being transparent with having it in a separate line item, and you're still specifically saying
So,
Budget, yeah.
it's still in the budget. I just don't want different departments to have their budgets inflated because of
Well, yeah.
retirees.
they need to not have their whatever all bunched up. We need to be transparent to the public. If your department has
Well, it is
legacy
transparent,
costs.
like, it is
It-
transparent regardless,
So-
if you have it in a different line item.
Yeah, so, and the reality.
Because you say it's,
will be-
when you start saying it's transparent, you're saying, no, we're hiding it. No, we're not hiding it. It's just, it's a separate
Well,
page.
worse yet, you thought you were gonna use an OPEB to do it, and you weren't. And so that's part of our issue too. We've not been clear that it has been a general obligation of the general fund, entirely borne by the general fund. And we've done this IOU thing with the OPEB account to the degree that if you were to call the OPEB account to account and withdraw the due tos from that account to the general fund, there wouldn't be an OPEB.
But you're shifting the topic from where Nick
Yeah,
was going.
that's one thing.
OPEC has nothing
And
to
I'm
do
answering the
with that.
topic directly, which is your
OPEC has nothing
department.
to do with the retiree's pension?
And-
Nothing.
And for the departments, one of the things we'll do, and we talked about changing financial accounting systems next year. So let's say the senior center. It seems like their budget is inflated because they happen to have a retiree. We're going to go back and move those in previous years so that they're accurately reflected. So the net is, there really is no change. I know it was a shock, and Paul mentioned it, and others mentioned it to the system now. But going forward, it's just a part of the reality within their department. Their department has been a percentage of the staffing of this community. And therefore, they're the percentage of the retirees within this community. Therefore, that cost is reflected in that category, that service area. That obligation is that. That's my decision. And, you know, there's no like DCD rule that this is right or that's wrong. I believe that program areas should reflect the cost of their current operations and our level of investment, and I'm proud of that. Now, we can get into the different nuances of it, but it's probably gonna bear out that for the most part, while there'll be a fluke here and a fluke there, the police and public works who have had the most staffing will see the most of those responsibilities, just like they do now. So for example, if there's 170 staff people now, over 100 of them are in the police and the public works departments, okay? So that ratio, 100 to 170, will be similar to the total ratio of retirees, because that's historically what we've hired, police and public works employees. Except for the very smallest departments, it will be, you know, won't show up as much, because it's just what it is. They're gonna have, if you're police, you know, if you have 40% of the staff currently, or 30%, you're gonna have 30% of the retirees. So it should be pretty clear.
But I still believe it should be a separate, because you're gonna pay, you're obligated to pay the health insurance premiums for retirees,
And it
no matter
was
what.
separate, and it was separate.
But what's the
you've
benefit of
now
having it separate?
Put it in, it was separate.
But what's the benefit of having it separate? You've asked me what the
The
benefit,
same
I've explained my
benefit that was
side.
there when they put it there.
For what?
Same benefit.
Well, because then it's,
Why did you move it?
So that you could understand that the portion of our personnel costs that are public safety and a portion of our retiree benefits are also a legacy of public safety, because mission matters. I'm trying to reflect the value of that.
Alex, I don't agree with you, and I'm not
Okay,
going to,
well,
so
I mean,
move on.
well, what was your point?
My point was, it was okay where it was, and you decided to move it on your own.
And I'm
That's
saying
all.
to get better, to go from good to great, good is the enemy of great. I
In
want
your
to put it
opinion,
in
and I
place.
don't agree with your opinion.
That's fine.
I
And I'm
think-
asking you to
That's all.
explain how yours would be better than mine.
Alex, I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're saying those legacy costs have nothing to do with current operating expenses of each of those departments. Is that right?
that's the point I was trying to make.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and fair enough, and I'm just trying to.
And I
say-
think we could probably accomplish what we're all trying to do, and you probably could have it separate, and you could also have a chart that demonstrates that, okay, well, this big part of the pie was police, this big part of the pie is public works. Because I guess what I'm trying to avoid, to where Bill maybe put it better, was that you don't want that to be impacting what we do in public works next year, what police does next year, because we're still paying those retiree benefits regardless.
Can I make a comment
Please.
from a financial presentation? That as many costs as you can, you need to allocate to the functions. And by functions, what I mean is general government, public safety, public works, and that is a catch-all for all expenses that could be identified to that. And if you look at a financial statement for government, there isn't, well, on the DCED line, there is a separate insurance line. But that normally is put into administration. So, you know, I'm not trying to dispute whether it should go to each individual department. What I'm saying is it has to be a part of those functions.
What does that mean?
But could the function be staffing and
No,
retiree benefits?
it's, the functions are, okay, I might need help on this. It's general government, public safety, public works, recreation, I think. I don't have a financial statement in front of me.
But you're using the DCD lines, but we've done it by, on the one pie chart, right? Is what you were saying, Ashley.
Yeah.
Is on
Yeah.
proposed service responsibility expenditures. So we're doing it by administrative support, police and public safety, public works, and community development, amenity services, fire department, not really, it's my two, and then
Do you have a
any other,
financial
those seem to be our main categories, right, Josie? That
I'm
we have
sorry,
on that?
What
got
about
that?
those?
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
the categ-
basically what I'm saying.
Right, so we're allocating to that, so it demonstrates that,
It-
in this,
it-
in this case, police and public safety, okay, is in the part. Our general responsibility to retirees and funds is, boom, and it goes into that part, that's what you're saying is.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's an accounting thing. It's,
It is an accounting
yeah,
thing, and
yeah,
that's,
that's what it's saying, as opposed to us making it a separate line item to do that for, but what happens when the auditors see our separate, like right now, we've been separate for the last number of years. This is what we pay into that, what have they had to say on it?
well, that, about separate and about it, it wasn't technically paid out of the general fund. The expense was recognized in a separate fund,
Out of-
which was the OPEB
OPEB.
fund. What you saw in the general fund was a line, a transfer line,
To-
where that money went as a transfer from the general fund
to OPEB.
to the OPEB fund.
Right, but it was coming from the general fund.
It was, but we technically, as we discussed, was it last week? There is no, we can't have an OPEB fund because it has a negative fund balance. So that the auditors recommended that we make two choices. One, fund that OPEB fund, which would probably be, we've been paying the actual current expenses about 2 million, I think. And to actually fund it, you would probably have to put another 4 to 6 million in.
Does there have to be like a cushion in it to assure the viability of the retirement? Would there have to, you're saying to put in like 4 million to fully,
Yeah.
Right.
It would operate like an actual retirement fund, but it just,
But that's not going to happen. That's not realistic.
no, it's
But
not.
if we didn't have an OPEB fund, or like another community doesn't have an OPEB fund, like most don't, I mean, the overwhelming majority do not. Are their retiree benefits
Thank you.
categorized separately, or are they individually in the legacy costs of the individual departments?
Again, it depends on the way the community does the budgeting. The DCD isn't going to say, like I'm trying to say, here's how to do it. I'm suggesting, based on my experience and my financial background, that this is the best way to reflect the true cost of departments by having included in their legacy costs. Now, if you're concerned that Department A has this legacy cost, and it kind of seems to be a bit skewed just because of the way the retirees fell out of their system, I hope through budget narratives and through your wisdom that we can make good decisions and not penalize that department. We will go back in past, and we will begin to present apples-to-apple budgets so you can see, though it wasn't in last year's or 2 years ago budgets, what that would have liked it if they were. It just takes some effort. The accounting software we have now isn't Stone Age, but it's not helpful. It doesn't allow us to be able to easily do that kind of thing. We have to kind of extrapolate it out, put it into an Excel, but we will do that. The goal, again, is to show everybody our level of investments in important areas, including the legacy cost of having that service.
Right, but also
And most
too-
communities, to be honest with you, have never negotiated the kind of post-retirement benefits that we have.
Sure,
Now,
but also too, the budget is an operational budget, and that's the kind of the main point I was trying to make, that retiree health insurance benefits isn't about the operation of a budget. The police departments went up $1.4 million.
But the money you have to spend for a
I understand, but-
retiree keeps you from spending money to buy pencils. So it's a part of it. You can't escape the fact that those liabilities,
Well, it's
for
still,
all
you're
of
not
us-
escaping, because it's still in the full, it's still within the
Yeah.
budget.
But you sort of just contradicted yourself. You're saying we will go ahead and look in the future, and we won't let these legacy costs, what I think you guys are concerned about is like, wow, look at the police budget, look at this and that, and then they're gonna get slashed in other places. And you're saying, well, we have to look and see if we do have to look at the total cost, and maybe we can't buy these pencils because of the overall cost of it, right?
Yeah, that's called decision-making with resources. So I don't have any problem with that. What I'm trying to say is that each department has a legacy that we just want to respect as that level of investment. So that people know, does my money go to this service? And yeah, and part of that service is that legacy cost that is outstanding. And someday, we're gonna have, I don't know how the contracts will do. Right now, we've moved everybody to a retirement health savings, which has been in yours, right? The retirement health savings is there.
Right.
So right now, if your department, as it transitions, the retirees who were once part of older collective bargaining units graduate out of the system, let's say, by leaving the planet, you'll still have that RHS, which you had in those. I'm just trying to create it to be more transparent. Well, you could say, well, those retirement health savings are some future benefit to whatever, but it's part of the being in the game, right? And that's what this is. This is part of being in the game of having to provide these full services. Your department happens to have maybe a good bit of retirees, but over time they'll
But
go
it
away.
seems like the police
It'll
budget
diminish.
shows, on the one hand, what it'll cost us to have pay for police services this year or next year, but you're including in like, sort of like, what we're still paying for, what we did in the past. Right?
It's kind of like if you are paying your pension costs, right?
Some examples.
That's for, part of that is for future, right? But it's still a recognized cost
In your current.
of the current period. So, MK was brought up our financial statements on her computer. When you're reporting, you have public safety, general government, public works is split into 3 different categories: highways, sanitation, and other. You have culture and recreation, conservation and development, and you have interest on long-term debt. You can't have insurance or retirement on a separate line. And our books have to reflect that so that if, when the auditors come in, my numbers are gonna support what they're putting in the financial statement. So that's all I'm trying to say, is that you only have, for publication for your financial statements, there's only so many lines.
But wouldn't you have all those you just rattled off? Wouldn't you have those on a page, and it would break down what we pay in retiree health benefits for each of those different categories?
Yes, that's what we're doing.
And I'm saying doing it in the budget you approve and you do all the time, instead of doing the correction to make it match the financials.
Well, I mean, I didn't hear all of our departments, I mean, and also too, like where Public Works is broken into 3 different things. Are we gonna break up the retiree benefits for the 3 different Public Works departments based on
They do.
which guys retired from what department?
Yes. So it's actually a cost. Those are what's called functions in accounting ease.
Right, and then it was recreation, what was the recreation one?
Culture and recreation.
So would that be,
That would be the library,
Senior center.
senior center,
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
would it be the Parks and Rec crew out of Public Works? Like the guys, like the community park guys?
No, I believe they would be in Public Works. I'd have to look.
Because the Public Works community park guys only service the community park, which is only for Parks and Recreation. They're not doing anything else. So that's what I'm just trying to, I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I-
I would have to look and see how it, I don't have.
and I still think we can still be transparent and not, I don't want to say artificially inflate, but, I think those legacy costs, yeah, they should definitely be in the budget and shown, but I think we could probably do that separately with all those categories, instead of them being individually in the current, for our operational budget, because it really isn't part of our operational budget. it's something we have to pay whether we can't cut those costs. We can cut pencils and we can cut these things, but we can't cut the legacy costs. That's all I'm saying.
It's always been a part of the operational budget.
Right.
What we.
And I've brought this up for like several years,
Yeah.
several budgets.
Well-
Even before you were here, I brought this up as far as,
Well-
I think it should be sectioned out.
Right.
That way people know where the retirees,
What
what they
we've
cost.
done is moved it from the transfer section on the budget to the individual departments. But it's always been a part of the operational budget. It's just in a different line now.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be part of it's part of the operational budget, but I think it should be sectioned off. I think we're gonna keep talking in circles to
Yeah.
make this meeting longer than what it needs to be. But I think my point is hopefully well taken by council, and I think yours is as well. And we can certainly hopefully have this in front of us for next Tuesday to be considered. But yeah, tremendous amount of work by staff and everyone. The one thing you did mention about feedback in the private sector, the one thing I will say, no, we do get feedback because the residents love the way our streets are plowed and how the garbage is picked up and how our public safety, first responders respond, how our police department does their thing. They love our library, they love our senior center, they love our parks and rec department. Some of that's difficult to measure, but we definitely get the feedback that people love it, and I think that's what this council believes in as well, and has always supported all of our services and amenities. And, yeah, we can compare to other communities, and I think that's important and valuable to look at, but, there's also things that we want to do differently here and that we do at a high level here in Monroeville,
Yeah,
and we're
hopefully
proud
we'll
of
be
it.
instituting some sort of Monroeville survey, an ongoing effort, just like you do in the private sector.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So we can get more than anecdotal and get numbers behind that, because I agree with you. We are a community of choice, and when people apply for the commander position and other positions, Joe hears it all the time, they want to be a part of this. They come, they want to work here and so forth. And, Walmart's investing $500 million is a vote that this community is well-run and a great place. I mean, that's something you all should be
True.
proud of.
100% true.
And
Very
we're
good.
up on, and we're even up on applicants for the first time in a while on
65 applicants for
for the
our
police
patrol
department.
officer.
We're down to 25 and 20 since post-COVID. We were very, Bob, right?
Yeah.
You saw it in civil service, it's got as low as
Absolutely.
20,
That's great.
which was unheard of for us, and now it's on the way back up again.
Very good. Well, Alex, great job, and to the staff and to department heads, great job with the budget, and we'll consider it next Tuesday. Any other questions about the budget at this point, council? Very good. Reports of our municipal staff. Mr. Ratcher, do you have anything?
I'm not gonna read ordinances. I mean, if we're not, that's fine with me.
I thought we did that right out of the gate, but I guess we didn't. It was so long ago. But do you want to read all the ordinances? So
Oh, I'd
these
love to.
all revolve around the
They do,
budget.
they're all related to the budget.
Thank you. Mr. Ratcher, please, items number 22 through 26.
First one is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville to provide for the adoption of a general fund budget containing estimates of proposed revenues and expenditures at $41,617,411 for the calendar year beginning January 1, 2026. The next ordinance is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville fixing the real estate millage for land, buildings, and structures for 2026 at 5 1/2 mils upon each dollar of assessed valuation, being the sum of $5.50 for each $1,000 of assessed valuation of taxable property. There's a footnote here, so to speak, in parentheses. A mill literally means 1/10 of a cent per $1 of assessed value. Therefore, 1 mill equals $1 of tax for every $1,000 of assessed value. So if that doesn't confuse you, nothing will. An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville continuing the deed transfer tax, 1% value of sale of property, mercantile tax, 2.5% of gross receipts, business privilege tax, 4 mils of gross receipts, and local services tax, $52 per worker pursuant to the Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965 as amended. Next is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville setting the 2026 salary structure for non-union exempt employees, which are defined as employees that are not eligible for overtime pay under the Fair Labor Standards Act, and non-exempt employees, Those are employees that are entitled to overtime pay for hours worked beyond 40 hours in a week. The budget currently has staff raises at 3%. And then last is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville establishing the 2026 fee schedule, which represents all of the fees that are paid by the citizens and businesses whenever they come in to do things that are fee-based.
Very good. Council, any questions about the ordinances? Very good. Reports, finally.
I'm all
Reports-
talked,
are
I'm
you
all
sure?
talked out, and I remembered in this discussion you just had why I got out of accounting and finance and became a lawyer. Because they have to be exact and balanced, and in the law, we don't have to do that.
Well said. Mr. Graziani, please.
They're laughing, that's not what they.
Monthly report is attached, and of course, make adjustments because of the Christmas and New Year's Day holiday, and the refuse and recycling pickups will be a day late accordingly.
Very good. Dr. Lang, anything for this evening?
I just want to highlight that the team worked really hard, and we did get the county tourism grant for the Tall Trees Amphitheater project that we have going on for ADA accessibility. We're very excited about that.
Great, great job. Mr. Hugus, anything this evening?
I'm good.
Ms. Rock, anything this evening?
I already said too much tonight.
Very good. Reports of our council members.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Poach?
Just sympathy to the Forrest family. Katie, after one of our last meetings, Katie Forrest passed away. I don't know if we acknowledged that. Many of you knew Mrs. Forrest for a long, long time. The 4th of July parade and
Miss Independence.
Women's Club, and yeah, I mean, so many things. Miss Independence Day to do that too as well. So I saw her family, and it was an unbelievable display of people from the community and the activities that she was in there for so many years. It was just an unbelievable piece to see that too. So sympathies to them, but acknowledge somebody that really kind of made a difference for a long time too.
Well said, Mr. Poach. She's a wonderful woman. She'll
Yeah,
definitely
she's
be
great.
missed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Stevenson?
I have the same comment as Mr. Hugus, I'm good.
Perfect. Mr. Crut?
Nothing, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Here we go. You should ask Mike. He
There
didn't
we
talk.
go. Christmas season is here. Only 21 days left to do your shopping, so get out there and shop local. It helps your municipality in their finances. Santa's mailbox is located at the door of the Parks and Recreation Office. That's at 2700 Monroeville Boulevard, the Bearer Building. And kids, get your letters in. And adults, you can also put your requests in for Santa's review. So I want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, and I'll repeat some of it again next Tuesday. Delinquent taxes, stop in and pay up. Our tax office is actively going after delinquent taxes, and when you don't pay your taxes, it hurts all your community members. I want to thank our road crew for their excellent job on the snow removal. You are much appreciated, and I thank you for it. And Kathy Forrest, our condolences to her family. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Biondo?
Yeah, I also want to pass along condolences to the Kathy Forrest and her family, or the Kathy Forrest family. Also, I do believe that the library also has Santa's mailbox available. That's all I have.
I think they do.
Thank you.
Say nothing but the kelp truck.
And yeah, we do have, so a couple things. So as we mentioned earlier in the meeting, the reorganization meeting will be held on Monday, January 5th, 2026, at 7 PM. That's when we're bringing in our new mayor, Mr. Biondo, and two more council members that'll be coming in and joining the dais here. But then what they're going to be doing is having Citizens Night and the council work session that same evening. Instead of having it on a Tuesday, 2 days, we'll just do it all in that one day. So we just want to make that announcement. And then we do have an event, community event coming up on Monday, December 15th. It's the annual Hanukkah celebration, Light Up the Night. It's from 5 PM to 6:30 PM at the Community Park West through the, sponsored by the Chabad Jewish Center. They always do a wonderful job there at the baseball fields and softball fields at the community park. So come out for that family-friendly, community-wide event. This year's event theme is Ice on Fire, featuring live ice carving of a giant menorah that will be used for the candle lighting ceremony. And don't know how long it'll last, but it's always a wonderful event. That is Monday, December 15th, 5 to 6:30. And with that, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.